You are live on X.
Okay, we are just about to go live on all the platforms, waiting for people to connect. We're going to go live on Binance Live as well, where we'll be streaming our show every single week. And we're just making sure here that we are live in all places, guys. Just give us a few minutes. Let's see here. We are on Binance Live, on X, and on YouTube. And it's going to be one incredible show today. And here we go. All right. So, how are we doing today? I mean, this is a momentous occasion. We've got the Capital Mindset lead analyst himself, Trip, here, who's done many videos with us. It's been absolutely incredible, just going through the charts and Bitcoin's phases and looking at some very interesting indicators and analysis that not many traders are looking at. And we've also joined by Steven, who's also a board member of the Capital Mindset, who's focused on investments, crypto, and stocks. We've now got a stock trading portion, and the Capital Mindset is the premier crypto trading group. Also stocks now, as I mentioned, we're just getting into that, as well as all of the most important announcements that move the markets. We're just staying up to date on everything that happens in these markets. Is absolutely incredible. And now we'll be doing a live show for you guys every single week to answer all your questions, to make sure that we interact with you, with our members first and foremost, and then give value to people who are on all of these channels as we build our audience and our community, because it is truly one of a kind. So before we get into the topics today, which are what's on everyone's mind, basically, has Bitcoin bottoms, have the altcoins bottomed, and is this some kind of low-key recovery? We're going to dive deep into that. Also look at some altcoins versus Bitcoin to see where we're at, because it's not always so simple as just looking at the USDT pair. So all of you who are interested in trading or who want to get into just kind of understanding how the market moves, we got an investment channel as well, leverage trading, all of that. So we've got the absolute best analysts in the space. I'd like to introduce my co-hosts today, Trip and Steven. Welcome to the show.
Hey there, Megan. How you doing today?
Oh, really good. Really good. This is a really fun time. I'm really glad that we got this started. So yeah, I am really looking forward to many more of these. And please bear with us, as this is our first live. So we're working out the kinks, but we want to make sure to answer all of your questions. And guys, this is such an opportunity. I mean, I get the pleasure of talking to these guys every single day and hearing their insights and analysis, and it is gold. So I'm just really happy to be able to share this with everyone today. So Trip, give us a little bit of your, we got Trip here joined by the way, hello, Steven. Want to say hello to you too? It's good to have you on
Yes,
the
I'm
show.
here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So what are you guys thinking about the crypto markets right now as we jump into this, before we get in the charts and everything we have prepared today? I mean, all of a sudden we've just been kind of having this doom and gloom sentiment and fear across the board, and suddenly Bitcoin's pumping, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a very strange time. It just sort of came out of nowhere this morning. We had a big pullback. There was also a lot of altcoins that they had an extreme scenario this morning. Apparently, there was some news about Wintermute. He's one of the market makers for a lot of exchanges, and I guess one of his trading algorithms went haywire, and a lot of these coins that he's been managing just nuked like 40 to 60%. So then after this happened, we saw Bitcoin spiking all of a sudden, and now Trump's starting to go a little more lax on the tariff news. So it's an interesting culmination of events that are happening right now. And when you look at the charts and you see exactly where we are in this moment while this news is coming out, it's not much of a surprise, but it's almost too perfect for it to be showing up exactly in this spot.
Right. And I know we look at a lot of different indicators that not a lot of traders are looking at. So we've been anticipating, this move. And in trading, nothing is a crystal ball. There's always probabilities, right? But you have some also analysis on that as well, which I'd like to get into throughout the show. And Steven, what is your take on the market right now?
Well, I'm definitely excited to see Bitcoin making a pump and a go for it today. I do know that it's been a rough March, but here we are. I feel like we have not seen the top, and I hope we have seen the bottom. So
It's a good way to put it. Good way to put it. In fact, Trip got on this channel about how long ago was it now? I think it was like March 1st. And you then on that show said that the bottom was in, or very likely close, price wise and potentially time wise, right, Trip?
Yeah, that was the time we dipped down towards like 77, 78K. The bullish idea that we had at that time was that we had extreme oversold conditions on the RSI all the way up to the daily chart time frame. So we were expecting some kind of an oversold bounce to see what that was going to lead into. And then sure enough, we had a decent bounce play out. But then the next thing that we were expecting as our plan B is if this happens for the second scenario, we might see another pullback if we get rejected at resistance. Then we were going to be watching for some bullish divergences on the high time frames. And then we're starting to see those divergences play out currently. So it's kind of interesting to see how it's all playing out and fitting together at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to go into some of that so you guys can see. I mean, these are the absolute best traders. We've got like, I don't know how many traders working in the group for us day and night, just doing an excellent job watching these charts like hawks. We're going to get some setups later on too for all of you who are interested in some juicy setups. So we're going to show you what we've been looking at in the group, just a taste. And I think now on that note, you know, we'll go in and out and we'll talk about market dynamics. I have a lot to say about what's happening with tariffs and the economy. And I will say that before we get into it. Look, it's been a really interesting time in that we did just have elections. Historically, after elections, it's always been up and to the right. And that's just based on statistics. We did just have one of the key indicators that I look to fire off on the higher time frames, which is the Bitcoin hash ribbons, just spit out a buy signal. And 17 out of the last 20 iterations have shown that Bitcoin has never closed below that previous lower trend, higher high. Okay. I don't want to get mixed up here, but ever again. So that it can go down below it, but it's never closed below that again. So 17 of the last 20 times is a very powerful signal and typically is followed by a very, very large move to the upside, as well as we've got a pro-crypto president now. And the Fed seems to be getting ready to make a pivot, which is key to everything, right? Injection of money into the markets. That's what we're all looking at. That's what we're all wondering, including Trump's tariffs, right? So the Fed just came out and announced that they will stop selling off their balance sheet aggressively from 25 billion going down to 5 billion. And eventually we're expecting a pivot, meaning lowering rates, money back into the markets, borrowing rates are cheaper. And that's what we're waiting on essentially, right? And then when you pair that with all these powerful indicators that Tripp goes over in the group and the other analysts, it starts to paint a bigger picture. So I think on that note, we can get into our first topic, which is, has Bitcoin bottomed? And I know you've got some charts for that, Tripp, that I'm going to pull up now. And yeah, and Stephen, feel free to chime in on any of this. I mean, we're here to have like a really dynamic conversation. We've all got very different viewpoints that when you come together, they're very powerful. So
sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited to do this with you guys. So Tripp, shall I just pull up that chart now then?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. We'll take a look at the big picture first.
All right.
Okay, so this is a comparison. We've been talking about this for a while now. So I think since the bottom, pretty much around 15 to 16,000, we started to see a lot of similarities to the 2014 to 2017 rally. So if you look down, you're focusing basically in this area, and we're comparing it to this area. So you had a bit of a triple bottom in the 2014-2017 rally, and that's what kickstarted this massive run-up. And now over here, it wasn't quite a level, like it wasn't flat. It was more of a triple bottom, but still on an angle. So similar structure to what's going on over here. You had those three little lows, and then it started the uptrend. So now it's interesting, as I was saying earlier, to see what Trump is about to do with these tariffs and all the different news that is happening right in this moment. I'm actually going to zoom in to see where we are in this buy the dip. The first dip compared to the 2014-2017 run-up, we had two of those buy the dip scenarios after we were mostly up this rising wedge, like close to the top before the breakout happened. So in this scenario, we could be on the first buy the dip, and that could be us right here. So here I'll zoom in. I'll try to go down to the 4-hour chart. So we were waiting for this bounce right on this green trend line, or the green highlighted section of this trend line, I should say. And that's exactly where we're getting this local bounce right now. So if you weren't zoomed out looking at the bigger picture, you might have been confused, like, why is Bitcoin pumping today? There's really nothing on the chart that says it should go higher from here. But this trend line, this is a long-term trend line that we've just bounced off of. So the next signal that I've been looking for, we can actually draw it in here on the 4-hour chart. If you draw the trend line all the way down, you're going to be looking for a break above this yellow trend line. And you can also look for the 200 MA. So actually, I don't think I have it on this chart. I'm going to add it really quickly. So we'll type in SMA. That's a simple moving average. We'll plug it into the chart here. And I'm going to have to set up the settings really quickly. We'll just make it a yellow line.
I just love how powerful the simplicity of your charts, yet the power. It's just so easy to take in and very visually aesthetic. Like it's very easy for me to look at this and understand in a bigger picture what's happening. And I think it's so essential for people to do this from time to time when you're panicking and just in those like, short-term time frames, so zoomed in that, it's kind of hard to understand where this could be headed. Right.
Right. Yeah, definitely. The way we approach it in the group is that we always start on the highest time frames first. You want to establish that you're in a bullish trend to begin with on the higher time frames. If you're trying to trade breakouts on a 4-hour chart, for example, but then you zoom out to like the weekly or the 3-day and you're in a massive downtrend, your breakouts probably aren't going to play out too much, if at all. So once you have that, I call it a holistic view of the whole market where you can see smaller time frames all the way up to the biggest. And then you start putting all those pieces together to form one vision of what's going on. It really helps to give you a better edge, and it makes you have better decisions overall. So you're not jumping into a weak structure on the lower time frames, and you're really trying to catch the turnarounds where the smaller trends, the medium trends, and the larger trends are all trying to give you a reversal signal at the same time. So that's really the key to what we're looking for in the group.
Right. No, absolutely. And you pair all those indicators together, and you can zoom into the lower time frames to nail your entry, which we will talk about later as well. But yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, very much so. So the next thing that we're looking for here, we broke below the 1-day 200 MA. That's the yellow line that I've added here. So once we break back above this 1-day 200 MA, then I would start being a little more bullish. I'd probably increase my position sizes once we've crossed that level. And we're looking for a break above the trend line at the same time. So right now they're converging in this area. So now we're just below it. It's going to act as resistance. I probably would expect a little bit of sell pressure just because people usually take profits at major resistance. That's totally normal. But this is still a reversal, at least on this time frame, right? So over here you had a low, and this was the one that we were talking about at the beginning of the month where we said this could be the bottom or else very close. And then sure enough, we got that move back up to reject at resistance, this huge resistance level or this zone up here. And then we came down and now we're printing this. It's a lower low, but we had bullish divergence on this 1-day chart from this low to this low. And that's what kickstarted this whole reversal from the bottom so far. So if you look at it, you've got a low over here. You've got a lower low down here. And now potentially on this higher time frame trend line, we're starting to see that higher low. So in my opinion, we have a really good chance of continuing higher. And it might even be the explosive move that we've been patiently waiting for in the market.
Oh, yeah, this is looking good. And for all of those who can't see, who are listening or tuning in from other platforms, what is that? What is the 200 MA at right now?
Right now, you could say at about 86,000 or so, 86K.
So right around 86K is what we could potentially expect. A temporary retrace or, potential rejection. But at this point, it's looking to be a potential lower high, a higher low. So, I mean, we're starting to build up structure on the higher timeframes, which is a bullish signal.
Right. Yeah. So that's the one thing we've been waiting for the most before we jumped into any trades is we wanted to see if Bitcoin was going to confirm this bounce. And then if we lost this big, huge trend line here, we'd have to consider the bearish scenario playing out. But the fact that we've got this bounce exactly there gives me a lot of hope for a more upside continuation for sure.
Right. And just on that note, we'll take a minute. Just to go back to the macroeconomics, it just seems almost too perfect, the timing of it. Just, like the injection of the people waiting on the Fed to pivot and the money starting to come back into the market and things changing on that level. I see we have a few comments here. The Fed just started money printing. So in 30 to 60 days, crypto should pump higher. Well, actually what the Fed did was it stopped aggressively quantitative tightening, meaning they've let off the selling off of their balance sheet. And soon we'll have that official pivot is what everybody's expectations are. And, the charts seem to be reflecting that or vice versa. They always say, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. We've also got Chris from the UK watching, big fan of theta and injective, hoping for some big bounces. Yeah. Well, you know what, Chris, we've got some pretty cool charts to show you later on that I think you'll be really interested in. And also Trip and I just did a special chart on theta, which we'll be uploading in the next couple of days on a massive, massive chart there, which is looking really cool. We love the theta community, so we'd like to do all we can. And then we've got Al Manim or AI. I'm not sure what your name is, but hi, how are you? Guys, we're really excited to have you all here. And this is going to be a regular thing. So you can tell us your requests. Just let us know how you're feeling, what you're thinking. We love to have you on the show. Just shout out to all you guys. And Stephen, what are you feeling right now about, everything Trip has presented, the market dynamics? I know you also work in real estate and you have investments. Like, what is your pulse on the market at this point?
I'm really stoked about the market inside the crypto right now and inside the stock market. So, you know, I typically like to buy in the red and sell in the green. That's every trader's dream. So, as these pullbacks have been taking place, you know, I've been dollar cost averaging into my Bitcoin holdings. And it's a really good opportunity for people that have missed these initial pumps to really start building some Bitcoin reserve in there. And I think that you just have to see the good with the bad. And I think the good, we're to the point now where we're reaching that pinch point to really see some movement. And like he said, you know, money's coming into the market. We see the government talk about dividend checks from these Doge savings and all this stuff. And, you know, more money in people's pockets, the more money that goes in the market. And that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, and what's wild to me is like how bearish people can be right now. I understand that it's scary and it's hard, but that's what these conditions are meant to make you feel, right? And meanwhile, we have news of people buying up major amounts of Bitcoin, which we're also going to discuss today. You know, how much Bitcoin is on the market and in supply versus what's being bought. I mean, it's pretty astounding. You know what could be happening in the near future. And this market can turn on a dime. I mean, we could be going from extreme fear one month to extreme greed the next. That's just how it is in these kind of market conditions. So it's important to prepare, get ready for it. That's why, you know, we're doing a huge sale in the Capital Mindset Trading Group right now. For anybody who wants to join, learn how to trade. There's incredible trading videos. We mentor you, triple answer all of your questions. And so all the admins, and just teach you how to ride this wave. Also leverage trading if you're interested in that. Steven will be posting a lot about investments and stocks. Stock trading will be incorporating soon. So now is the time to get ready for a transformative period of your life for sure. So yeah, just want to hype you guys up because I don't want you to miss out on this. And I think, you know, this only comes about every so often and it's a really special time. So yeah, back to you, Trip. I think our next question that we are going to go over that people want to know about is altcoins, but I know you've got a few more Bitcoin charts to show us, right?
Yes, sorry. I was on mute for a second there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the same idea as the last picture that we were looking at. It's still a comparison to the 2014, 2017 run up. So I've pulled some fibs on this chart, and you can see that there's a lot of similarities going on. So at this key resistance, which is this lower gray bar, this is where the breakout happened in 2016. And if you pull a fib from the bottom of the move before the breakout to the top of the move after the breakout, we saw a 0.382 fib retrace. And that was the move that we saw for the pullback before we got launched to the new highs up to about 17, 18, 19,000, I guess it was for the 2017 run up. So over here on the current chart, we've got the same thing going on. So if you pull your fib from the bottom before the breakout above this gray resistance zone and you pull it to the top of the move that happened afterwards, we have this exact same retrace happening in the same zone. So that 0.382 level is at about 80,735. And if history repeats from here, we could expect a similar size of move, which could put Bitcoin as high as 300, maybe even 400 grand after this continues. So there's definitely a major bullish move coming if we see something similar to what's happened in the past.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of these kind of charts, right? Like that we can go off of for some sort of indication or previous kind of structure. And it seems to be lining up on a lot of different indicators and a lot of different charts.
Yeah, very much so. It's a deja vu scenario in so many ways. And again, it's because of the way the news is coming out. We got bearish news at the top of the last move, and now we're starting to get the bullish move at the bottom. And that's just typically how it goes. You're bearish on the bottoms, or we try to be bearish at the bottoms, and everyone gets scared, right? The retail gets pushed out of the market mostly. So then once the news starts to turn around, you have to be watching really carefully, or you could miss the next pump or the next rally.
Wow.
Right.
Isn't it kind of strange how the chart on the right almost relates perfectly to the chart on the left? You know, it's almost a perfect retracement of the years past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very it's spookily the same, right? So in my opinion, I have another chart that I've been looking at on a higher time frame, like the weekly, and there's actually a lot of comparisons when you really zoom out. You take out a lot of the noise, right? So all of the ups and downs that you're getting along the way up, that's cleaned up a lot when you go to the really high time frames. And then it starts to look even more similar, and it's hard to deny it.
Right. Just real quick, I want to give a shout out to Dre in the house, Cardano to the moon, guys. I'm a big Cardano fan. It was one of my first major investments, and we actually have a really juicy chart to show you, Dre, on Cardano today. So do stay tuned for that. It's going to be awesome. And that's all I have to say there. So yeah.
I'm just going to take a look at this is a comparison chart. So this is more of a recent comparison. So this just goes back to look at the April to October move in 2020, and then the April to October move that we saw in 2023. So same thing is happening here. You got this initial move up, and then it looked like it was a bearish top where you had a straight rejection after you hit that top. And then that began the next strong move to the upside. So in 2023, you had something very similar. You had this move up, you got another move to the top of the resistance, and then a strong pullback. And that strong pullback it opened the door for buyers to come back in and scoop up cheaper prices before we saw this next second rally. So now if you compare, we'll go to the right side of the chart here. This is April in 2023, and then we have April in 2020 April to October in 2020, and then the current chart. So just to compare the structure of all these things put together, right? So you got this consolidation down, you have this top, and then it starts to round up before the next pump. And then on the 2020 scenario, you had the same thing. You had the move up, you had that rounded top, and then that downwards push was the next beginning of that next move. So really, it looks very similar. We could be doing that same sort of trajectory following here coming in.
Right. It looks like the Bart Simpson.
Yeah, the Bart's pattern. Yes,
the Bart's pattern. Yeah. Actually, we're going to pull up now. I don't know if Rob is in the house. I saw him now previously, but he might not be here. As soon as I see him back on his camera, we've got our leverage trading specialist, lead analyst for leverage trading in the Capital Mindset Group about to come on. He's also going to give you some tips on leverage trading for those who are interested. There he is. Rob, let me pull you up on the stage to say hello. How's it going?
Hey there, trying to get my picture up in there. My room's a mess behind me from kids.
It's okay. Trader life. It's all good.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Rob, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Just got home. Got done cleaning up a dog mess. Getting my trades pulled up here, seeing what's all going on in the market. Was listening
a lot has happened today. A lot has happened.
Here, Rob, I'm going to send you a picture here. Just you can see how to change your icon there. If you click on the three dots, you can add your profile picture, the one that's next to your avatar. So again, yeah, this is a learning experience for all of us, everybody. We've never done a live to this extent before. It's always been within the group. So we're going to work out the kinks today and just try to figure out how this all works together.
Yeah, for today, you can roll with your camera too. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm going to do the camera for today until I can figure out. My MacBook, my Apple computer sends things in crazy spots all the time. I don't know why.
Yeah, all good. So Trip, you can continue, and we are going to then go back to the charts. And Rob, we will have you on for the end of the leverage, but do feel free to chime in, whatever your analysis as well on the charts. And Trip, take it away, Bitcoin 4 hour.
Yeah, this is the 4 hour chart. So we're zoomed in a little bit from the chart that we saw before. And really, we're just looking for a break of this trend line. Once we see a break here, the next resistance that we're looking at beyond the 200 MA on the daily is going to be this upper range point of control. So that's at about 96,800 or 97 pretty much, you can say. You can round it up. So once we've got that move, then I would be a little more confident in the uptrend continuing. But even still, it's like, even if we get this move all the way up to this high, we're going to need to see a higher high. If we see a rejection here, then we're going to see a pullback. Potentially, we want to avoid the double top scenario that could happen if we get rejected at this next resistance. So the previous high that we're looking at is around 110K, 109K for Bitcoin. But really right now, it just looks like we need to see that confirmation first.
Right. And if we get rejected at this yellow trend line here, what are we looking at as far as, will it come back and just swipe the lows? What are the lines in the sand here before we continue?
Yeah, definitely. So if we get a rejection at this level, so the higher time frame pattern would be invalidated, right? So the only thing I'm leaning into is that the higher time frame pattern must hold. And if anything changes about that, I'm just going to go back to it here. Right. So anything changes about this pattern, my view of the Bitcoin trajectory is going to change completely. So we kind of need to stay on track, at least to hold that lower yellow trend line for this big rising channel. So if that doesn't hold, then yeah, we're easily going to come back down to test the major support levels. Probably around 66K, I think, would be probably the meat of it. Right. So mostly around, you could say from 70K down to about 66K is where the next big chunk of support is going to be in the worst case bearish scenario.
Right. There's huge confluence there, but we do have support at that $78,000 level. And I think we said on previous episodes that Bitcoin has never gone back down to retest the previous, all the way down to test the previous highs in a bull run, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
So
not
even
many
still,
times at least. Yeah.
yeah, you can see this. I'm going to pull this down just to exaggerate it a little bit more. But this is kind of like an air gap that we called it the last time, where you didn't come down any further and it wasn't a full retest of this support. So this little gap of air tells me that there's a lot of buyers that are already stacking their orders. They want to get their orders filled. So there's a chance that you might not get your order filled if you had it sitting around these lower levels like 73, 74K. So it could be a whale activity kind of thing where they're trying to keep that price up by stacking their orders on top of each other to make sure that bounce happens.
Right.
Yeah, the next thing we're going to look at, this is, we actually just mentioned it earlier. This is the Michael Saylor's strategy. He was buying a bunch of Bitcoin during that last dip. He bought over 22,000 Bitcoin. He's been doing this nonstop. And if you think about it, the balance on the exchanges, you compare this 736,900 Bitcoin on Coinbase Pro, and then if Michael Saylor is buying 22,000 Bitcoin at a time, I mean, really, it's a matter of time before these exchanges run out, especially if you have players like this in the game that are soaking up all the Bitcoin. I mean, there's only 450 BTC mined per day, so the supply is definitely lower than the demand, right? The demand is exceeding it ridiculously by exponential amounts. So really, it's like, how much longer can this go on before we start seeing that supply crunch come into play?
Yeah, and I'm going to give you guys some stats right now because this is my thing. I just did a show on this with a really, really very insightful guy on Bitcoin from Coinbits, and he said we were talking about like where we are at in adoption, and it has been like the equivalent of MySpace. So I'm dating myself here probably, but MySpace back for social media is kind of like where we're at now in crypto. 400 million users plus. And we're just in the beginning of that exponential growth curve. So about 4% adoption worldwide. And this year, we're set to have exponential growth actually in the amount of millionaires being made because of the convergence of these hugely powerful technologies that are supposed to accelerate productivity and therefore lower inflation. There's a lot of things happening that I don't think people realize in the background, and it's going to come fast. So my point here is, if we're currently, I think, at like 50 million millionaires, right? And what if we're projected to jump to 80 million millionaires? What if just a fraction of those decided they wanted to own a Bitcoin? I mean, like the rate this could jump at when that adoption starts to increase is astounding. I'm just putting that out there because it's important to keep that macro picture in mind as you're thinking about your portfolios for not necessarily trading, but long term.
Right. Yeah. Like even that 21 million amount of Bitcoin, the amount that's actually available is far, far, far less. So if every millionaire wanted to buy one Bitcoin, they're probably only going to get a fraction of what they want to purchase.
Right.
The next chart we have, this is the total 3. So again, we've been watching this chart for a while. It's been in a falling wedge since about December. So December to April now, we've been watching this falling wedge, and we're below the 1-day 200 MA here still. Pretty much the same position as Bitcoin. We need to see this break above that 200 MA and the falling wedge, and then we're looking for a test of about 933 billion for the total market cap of total 3. For those who don't know, total 3 is all of the altcoins combined minus Ethereum. So it also takes Bitcoin out of the equation and Ethereum out of the equation and leaves the other 125 top altcoins that you're measuring here with that market cap. So this is our next big signal. If you want to start trading altcoins again, if you've been trying to trade them during this downtrend, there's a lot of chances you probably just got stopped out and you're trying to find a re-entry, or the price has just been like bleeding lower and lower and lower this entire time. So we need to see that confirmation before we can go full bull on altcoins all over again.
Right. But it does look to be building a pretty bullish structure here. I mean, if we're able to hold support.
Definitely. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so you can see what the bigger picture looked like. We had a cup and handle that broke out, and now we're retesting this support zone, this key support. So if we get this SR flip, an SR flip just means it's a support resistance flip. So once it breaks the resistance, you're looking for it to come back down and test it as support. If you get that confirmation, then you should assume that this could just be a bull flag, and we're ready to see the next impulse move higher. I would expect that if this is a continuation of this trend, then we're probably going to break through resistance at 1.13 trillion. And the next fib target for the extensions that I have would be at about 1.272 fib. And that's a $1.36 trillion market cap for total 3.
I know that it's hard to do this, but like just for people to grasp the magnitude of the move that could happen if and when, I want to say when, because I'm pretty bullish on this market, we break out from this bull flag and we just hit the first resistance to 1.13 trillion. What kind of move does that look like for large caps? Can we approximate that at all or get an idea?
Yeah, you could average it out. You could say about 73 to 74% across the board. So it doesn't mean every single large cap is going to make that move, but it's more like an average. So if you pick 20 coins, maybe 50% of them might do that move. Some could go a little more, some could go a little less. It really is going to depend on the news that's going to drive those certain specific cryptos to go higher or lower.
Right. Yeah. It's a big alt season coming, hopefully sooner rather than later. It's looking good. So we'll just be monitoring the charts and see how we do here. But yeah, that's all we can do is go off history and what we see here in the patterns forming, and it's looking good.
Right. Yeah. So this chart here is a total 3 chart compared to Bitcoin. So the last one was in dollars, right? USD. So now you can see the performance of total 3 or most of the altcoins compared to Bitcoin's performance. And now we're starting to round out this bottom here. So I've drawn in this bars pattern just to give you an idea of what the trajectory could be coming if we start to round out here. It's not necessarily an alt season where it's just explosive altcoins everywhere. It could be a more gradual growth where altcoins start to pick up the pace against that Bitcoin comparison. So if you're trying to outpace Bitcoin, this is definitely the chart you want to focus on. A lot of people are going to try to accumulate more Bitcoin in the uptrend during the bull market. And definitely with Bitcoin being a reserve asset and all the other bullish ideas that are going on for Bitcoin itself, I mean, it's drastically running out of Bitcoin to buy. So if you can try to accumulate as much as you can, it might be a really smart strategy for those that want to hold for longer term.
Right. And as far as the parabolic season, I mean, I feel like also I want to remind everyone of this too, who hasn't been around for multiple cycles, or just as a reminder, that kind of move happens pretty fast and usually toward the end of the cycle. I mean, when we're about to top out. So it's like, if you're not in the market when these moves happen, you can't really chase them, right? You can't really catch up to them. So the idea is to scale into the moves, is to buy on support, right? And to get in at the relative bottom, or try to get in toward a bottoming pattern on support in order to be prepared.
Yeah, and not only just being prepared, it's just if you're entering as low as you can on the chart, you're gonna experience more upside than people that are jumping in a month or two late. So those 10, 20x trades turn into 3, 4x, right? So you kind of got to take that leap earlier on, and you got to sit through the boredom. If you can sit through the boredom of those coins not doing anything, and you're patient on the way, it'll reward you in the end once everything starts taking off.
Absolutely.
So the next one we're going to look at, this was just to give an example, we're already comparing total 3 to the Bitcoin chart here. Now we're going to look at another one that we've been eyeing up. So this is that ADA BTC chart on the 5-day. So we've been seeing a very similar structure to the previous cycle from 2019 to 2021. You have this inverse head and shoulders, and after this right shoulder formed here, I mean, let's look at this with a measurement. We'll pull up the price range tool. So for ADA, there we go. That move was about a 328% move, 333% move for ADA versus Bitcoin. That means you could have tripled the amount of Bitcoin that you own by holding ADA instead of Bitcoin during the bull run. So, I mean, now we're sitting almost the exact same position over here. I'm actually going to zoom in here to see what these swings look like on these smaller time frames. So let's go down to the 1 day here. We'll zoom in. And same thing's happening, right? So over here on the left side of this pattern, on the left shoulder, you had your low and then your lower low. And once the higher low is confirmed, then you saw a nice moonshot up to the top of resistance. So then you got your lull down to the bottom where the head is. This is your lower low. And now we're focusing on here to see if this is going to be a higher low than this previous low. So if we get that same kind of reaction as we did back here on this part of the ADA chart, this could be the scenario that sets it up for the breakout. And that would be the higher time frame move that we're looking for, where you consider this a huge double bottom. And then the prices start getting ridiculous. So if you zoom out again, right, you're aiming for the measured move at the 2.0 fib level. This is a fib extension. Really all that means is that we've measured the distance from the top of the double bottom, or the resistance to the bottom, and then you pull this up to the top, and that should give you an estimate of what the move could be. So the fibs give you an exact number. Otherwise, you could just use this simple measurement and get an idea of approximately where you're going to go. So again, we're going to take our measurement tool. We're going to see exactly how much of a move that could be. So ADA potentially has a 1,300% move against Bitcoin, right? So again, this is against Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's not moving that much, it would be easier for ADA to outperform it. If you try to compare it to the USDT pair, it might not be as dramatic as this 1,300% move. But again, if your goal is to accumulate Bitcoin, then this could be an excellent trade for you to get into.
Right. And I know we got our ADA fan in the house, Dre. Smash that like button, guys. If you're listening to this and you find it valuable and you're learning something and you want to share this with your friends, we want to get this out there because we want you guys to benefit as much as possible. This chart is super powerful. I know the Cardano fans have been waiting for this one. And even you and I, Trip, we did a USDT video not too long ago where we did it on the log scale and talk about ridiculous numbers. I mean, that was pretty astounding. Like, I love to zoom out because I'm a long-term investor. I do trade. Obviously, I have a trading portfolio and a long-term portfolio. But I mean, it does get crazy as you zoom out and you go a few years down the line, right?
Yeah, totally. That's just the way the market works, right? It's always very boring for a long period of time. All the investors feel like, oh, crypto's not doing anything, and they leave the market. And then those are the ones that are pumping the prices up after they feel like they've missed the boat, right? So then they join in too late to the party, and then you get those big rallies forming. So yeah, to get in at the ground floor is probably the best way to trade this market. But again, it takes so much patience if you're willing to wait for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think very good times ahead. I mean, some people call me a perma bull, but in these conditions, it's just hard not to be, right? I mean, I'd like to just zoom out like we're doing, and then we can zoom back into the lower time frames. Now we're going to have Rob come on in a few and show us a few leverage trades after Trip finishes here, but it's just the best strategy.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty good to go here. I think we've covered pretty much everything. If Rob wants to take a shot now.
Well, before then, Stephen, I know we're getting into a stock analysis as well. In the group, we're going to have a stock trading channel. You've been pretty active in that group. We're starting to populate that group. What are your thoughts on everything we've gone over and the stock market as it is right now? Any plays you're kind of sort of eyeing at the moment?
Yeah. So you said something a while ago that I think is a very vital thing for people to learn. You have a trading portfolio and an investment portfolio. I think that is something wonderful that the capital mindset teaches people is that, you are an investor and you could be a trader, and you can, during the bull markets, you could roll profits over into long-term investments. And that is something that, I love about stocks is I'm not so much of a stock trader day in and day out as I am just an investor. I buy into projects I believe, like Bitcoin, Cardano, XRP, and long term hold these things. Same thing in the stock market, like Apple, Tesla, Coca-Cola, companies that are a proven commodity to where you can invest and hold. And I think that's a very important thing that you just said about having two separate portfolios for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to build wealth over time. I'm convinced of it, and then you can also start to learn how to trade, which is a phenomenal skill that you could potentially live off of, right? But also it's important to plan for the future. I do use an app that I can just kind of like round up my spare change to, stack sats in the background. And that's been pretty cool. It's called Coinbits. You can just link your credit cards and round up every single purchase you do, and you just accumulate Bitcoin. So there's so many different tricks you can have to just create a better future for yourself. And this is the time in the market where you can literally change your life. And we don't have the link up yet for the Capital Mindset group, but we do have a really big sale going on right now, 30% for combos for leverage and spot, and 20%, I believe we still have it for a few days, right, Trip, for the spot, which is just a normal trading channel. Or the
it's first
channel.
Spot or leverage. Yeah, you have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do the combo plan for an even bigger reduced discount.
Right.
But they've been extended just because we had some activity where members were still wanting to rejoin, but they ran out of time. So we just gave them a little extra leeway.
Right. Yeah. So I will pin that in the channel right now. So all of you who are interested, you can have a look. It's absolutely amazing. We just have a great community there, and it's going to be phenomenal, guys. So on that note, Stephen, thanks for your input. And Stephen is really just an amazing guy and very successful in life. He's in a lot of businesses and a lot of investments. So he's sharing a lot of amazing insights in the group as well. And we're just happy to have you here.
Thank you, Megan.
Yeah. And Rob, if you have some charts queued up, I think we can give them some gems now on, exactly what you're looking at in the leverage trading channel.
All right. Let me know when you can share my screen for me.
Okay. If you just present it down below.
Oh, present. All right.
And I can share it up on the screen here. And while Rob is getting those up, yeah, it's just been a very crazy time. I know that even though, it's been kind of dull in the market, Trip, we've been looking at auction not too long ago. That's involved in the bounce finance, and BlackRock is somehow involved as well. What did we do on that? Like a 4x from when we entered in these market conditions?
Yeah, I don't think it was quite 4x from the breakout, but if you were paying attention to it earlier in the group, we had talked about it a couple months ago saying keep an eye on auction. This is a giant pattern on high time frames. So if you
Right.
started scaling it at that point, you might have got an entry near maybe $8 up to $12. And if that was your entry, then you would have made those 400% gains for sure. I think
Right.
from breakout, it was at least a 333% move as well. So regardless of where you entered, it was still massive. So, we're posting these as much as we can. We're trying to find the biggest winners. Definitely during this climate in the market, it's not easy. So we were very fortunate to find auction at the time that we did.
Right. And I see Starlight here is really active in the channel. So cheers to you. And yeah, definitely smash that like button. I mean, do share it. I see this is going on here. It's guys, we want to create a movement. We want to give this space the quality content it deserves, and we're dedicated to it. And we're here day and night looking at these charts, and we want to just provide that value to you. So I see Starlight is asking, are we at the bottom yet? Well, Trip was going over that in the beginning. I don't know if you were here. This was recorded and will be recorded. But basically, it's, he explained that back in March 1st, when we did another one of these sessions, that we're seeing a low or very close to the low, likely price-wise and time-wise. So there's some invalidation points, and you can go back and watch that at the beginning, and you'll be able to check those out. So yeah, I see Rob hopped off here. I think he's having some technical difficulties. Guys, this is our first live. So thank you to everybody who's here. We are going to try to reward you somehow and get more things going on this channel. So you can expect us every week. We're going to shoot for every Tuesday around the same time, but we will announce it and start promoting it beforehand. So yeah, I think Rob hopped off now. But as far as leverage trading, I mean, it is a whole nother ball game, and it's really exciting, and it's really different from normal trading. And it's really fun to be able to learn that skill as well. I know Trip sometimes posts some leverage trades. And what would you say about the difference between the two, Trip?
Between the leverage and the spot group?
Yeah, like what should people expect, and why should they use one or the other? And just some kind of, let's go into strategy now as we wrap this up.
Okay, well, if you're in the spot group, typically we're looking for midterm holds or at least trades that you could be in for maybe a week or two. The leverage group, though, those are more quick action trades, so you could be in and out within a day, maybe a couple of days, but they're typically more short-term trades with bigger profits. So if you're using a little bit of leverage, those 2 to 3% moves with like a 10x leverage, those turn into 20 to 30% moves. So it can be very decent performing in that channel. If you compare to the spot group, it just means these trades might take a little longer to play out. You're not going to get these instant moonshots, but the leverage group, yeah, definitely in comparison. If you want to just slowly build up more capital, it's a great place to you're honing in on your skills, because when you trade leverage, your entries and your exits have to be a little more particular than if you were in spot. With the spot trade, you can have a little more relaxed stop losses, so you don't have to monitor your trades too much, too closely. Really, you can just set an alert on your trades on support and resistance, and that'll give you an edge of whether or not you should be paying attention to that trade to exit or to get into a trade. But in the leverage group, yeah, you're definitely going to have more time in your hands. It's more for people that have time to trade throughout the day, so you can monitor your trades actively. So again, if you're just joining the group, you want to be starting out in the spot group first, just because it's lower risk. You don't want to be trying to you don't want to risk a bunch of money while you're learning. So if you make a bunch of mistakes in the beginning, which everybody does, every new trader makes mistakes in the beginning, doesn't matter who you are. We actually have a name for it. It's called trader's tuition. So the amount that you lose in the beginning while you're learning is totally up to you, depending on how much capital you're putting into a trade. So if you can't double $100 while you're learning, then you should not be trading with any more than that. You want to at least get to that goal where you can say, I can double $100 to $200 consistently before you want to start jumping into the advanced trading techniques like leverage trading.
Right. Now, that was a really good analysis. And, for those who are recently starting to leverage trade, it can seem a lot at first, but then you start to get the hang of it, and you can have different strategies, which we've gone over in other lives. We do lives every week for our members only, where we cater only to them and their questions and what they want to learn about. But we were talking a little bit about strategies for leverage trades and trading. So we will do that in another session for sure. I see Jim Capone here. Price target on ADA, 1,300% rise. Yep, that's what we said. That is ADA versus Bitcoin. So that's if you want to stack more sats, right?
Yeah, the price target for an ADA chart when you're comparing to Bitcoin, it's really hard to calculate that number. It's you're comparing to Bitcoin's performance, not the performance of the coin versus the dollar. So to say it's a 1,300% move, that means that Bitcoin could be moving mostly sideways and ADA is outperforming it, right? If ADA and Bitcoin are going up at the same rate, that ADA versus the BTC chart will look like a flat line. It's not going up or down. So on the USDT pair, it's going to be a dramatically different number than what the BTC pair is showing you.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a strategy if you want to stack more Bitcoin, but also, like I said earlier, the Cardano USDT chart that we went over on the log scale is, it shows that another massive move is potentially brewing, right? And that it is possible. And things are crazy. They happen really fast in this market. When I invested in Cardano just under 5 cents, a cycle and a half ago or a cycle ago, it did a 65x in the span of a year and a half. That's how fast these things can go. Now there's diminishing returns, and that was at the ultimate bottom, right, after COVID and everything had happened. But I love what Steven said as well about focusing also on investing, having a long-term mindset, and understanding that you don't get rich overnight. And this stuff takes time. And as long as you have the right strategy in place and you stick to that strategy, it's going to be better. So exciting times coming. That's all I'm saying. I love this ADA chart. I know a lot of ADA fans on this channel as well. So it's really fun. And I see Rob joining us back again. I think he might have his setup figured out. So I'm going to add Rob back to the stage. How's it going, Rob?
All right. Yep. I think my screen is all shared now, and we
there
are
he is.
So, all my settings were sitting there denying everything, so they go into all my Apple settings and allow everything to come through.
Yeah, technical difficulties. Yep. All good. I'm going to add it to the stage now. So let's see. Let me remove the other charts. We will put that back up here now, and it looks like we're on.
All right. So
yeah.
And jump in some alt plays here, some alt ones I'm looking at. My very first one is my favorite one I'm going to actually show first this time. And this is the token S, the old FTM token. And this token here is looking like it has a lot of strong upside in the trend that it's possibly starting. I'm looking for a possible pivot on this area right here. So basically what's going on right now is you look in the oscillators and they're looking to flip bullish on it on the 12-hour time frame. And we're also breaking a smaller moving average as well too, and that's the SMA 9. We're retesting it. So right there, you could sit there and say we could be making a possible pivot and making a possible trend right here. Now this could be also a bearish change of character as well too from going up here, but sometimes that'll happen in crypto. And even if that is the bearish change of character, the entry for that bearish change of character is 63 cents 5. So you even have a lot of upside even if it does turn bearish before you actually got a short entry on it. But I'm actually more bullish on this is due to some of the token fundamentals. So now whenever we go in to actually enter a trade in, so what I am looking for is we got in a 4-hour time frame, we are looking at a bullish change of character. So we came all the way down to here. I was actually waiting that hopefully we got all the way down to this bullish order block down at the bottom here to start taking entries on, but we stopped right here. We popped up and then we got a higher high. The next entry that we're looking for, we're looking to get down in here and make a higher low, and that's going to be where we're going to be scaling in. So right now, I'm watching it right now. We're trying to get down to that 4-hour SMA 9 and bullish fair value gap, which is right here on the chart. If we hold this level, we're going to start entering into it right here and looking to scale in if we wick down at all in order to get into the trade. So we're going to be looking to scale into this trade. This is looking to be like a good swing long trade. Should take up, as of right now, it's going to take up probably typically like 4 days to 7 days to probably play out or so, something like that, after we get our confirmed entry. But right now we're looking at the oscillators in the 4-hour time frame, and they're all pointing down. So that's basically showing that, hey, we probably going to get our strong entry down here. So you might as well kind of wait, put some of your entries down here towards the now if you close underneath the bullish order block in this time frame, that's going to make it like a more of a, the trade probably won't play out, but you might as well put your orders close to that area so that way you're getting into your invalidation zone. So S looks like a very strong token that we're going to be getting into. Once we start holding that area and we start going up and get above the 4-hour SMA 200, that's when our stops will be in profit. And we can just sit there and you move up our stop loss accordingly, as I show in the group, and we can just sit there and take profits. So if it's up at this area right here, we sit there and move our stop losses up tighter. We got a good 30% move or so on spot, add 5, 6, 7x leverage on it. You got a good swing long, you got good profits, close 50% of your position, let the less ride. If we get up to this trend line up here, then that's just icing on the cake. All right.
Okay, I'm going to stop you for a minute just to make sure everybody understands this, to break it down. So you said put all your orders down in there where there's a strong buy if we're going to go back and revisit it. What level is that at?
All right, that level right there is my strongest buys are going to be between 48 cents and 45 cents.
Okay. Yeah, and
So,
this is SUSDT that we're looking at here.
That is
right?
correct.
Yeah. Sonic,
so
it's
saying,
called.
Yeah.
Sonic. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting. So you're saying potentially 7 to 10 days to play out on this kind of swing back up to the previous resistance there. Big moves are coming right now that we're kind of like bottoming out and we've had this huge correction. We may potentially be seeing a lot of these trades pop up.
Yeah, that's
Definitely.
a lot of these tokens are looking very the same to me. I think we're looking at weekly pivots on altcoins. Like you go through the altcoin charts in the weekly time frame, like they look like they're bottom on the weekly time frame. And once that flips bullish, we got a good strong to the uptrend for hopefully a month or two at least, maybe 3. But
yeah, and these are the kind of skills that you get like during this time of the market that I said before that are life-changing. And it's worth the time. It's worth the effort. As you said, Rob, you let people know when you're moving your stop, your take profits up, right, as you go. And it's just an incredible skill to learn. So I do highly just encourage people to invest in your education right now, whether that be in the trading group or learning just what crypto is in general. If you're new to crypto, I mean, right now is the time to laser focus. And it's going to be phenomenal. So yeah, this is more on S, correct?
Yeah, this is just another chart I had made up. Like over here, I was seeing a potential double bottom, and we kind of came up here and came back down. We're basically what I'm looking at in high time frames. You start looking at this in high time frames, like 3-day. You're basically just trying to print like 3-day. Don't have very much information on it, so we're gonna stick to daytime. You need a little bit more data on it in order to make a good trade on it. But you're just looking at possibly basically just printing higher. Let me go ahead and delete this chart actually, so it's easier to see. So you're just looking at higher lows, and a lot of the times when I take trades, I'm just looking at building a position on a higher low or on a higher low. Then whenever it starts to get to the higher highs, or even if it makes a double top, that's where I'm looking to start taking profits and moving my stop losses up on mid time frames to small time frames. So this is looking like a very strong token, and it's just starting out. And if this does gain a lot of good traction, we all know this is Sonic is the old FTM token, so it's going to probably follow what token is that? Sol. So Sol starts taking off. This has a possibility of following that because of all the meme tokens and everything. If we can sit there and you start using Fibonacci retracements for take profit levels or enter or levels to add profits back in. So say you start getting up here, you close 50% of your position, but you want to keep a good risk management strategy always in place in risk management. You can sit there and look to trade the same token over and over again. That's what I was going to go over in this chart. We get back, this pattern starts playing out. We get up here, we take profits, it comes back down. I'm going to be looking to trade the same token over and over and over again. So that way it's compounding gains on this one token. So this trade, I'm going to trade it 6 times in the next 2 months.
Wow. And I know we've talked about that power of compounding quite a bit on this channel as well. And is that something that you just kind of focus on? I mean, there's so many strategies, but a lot of traders will pick a few coins that they understand how they move and they've seen the charts and you know, they get these incredible swings and can just potentially do it over and over, like you said. Yep. So yeah, I see there's a chat comment from Jim Capone who loves XLM too. We love XLM, XRP, Cody charts looking fantastic. We've done a lot of Cody charts in the group. I don't know about recently, but we'll have to take a look at that one. You got some love here too, Rob. People are loving it. So yeah, they're loving your setups. They're just asking you to speak a little bit more slowly so we can understand. Because there are a lot of people who are new here to leverage. So that's why I wanted to just pause for a minute, break it down just a little bit, you know, and make sure that everybody's understanding what's going on, because these are powerful setups and he's giving you these gems, you know, for free outside the group. So guys, I want to make sure you're all taking this in. So any questions you may have, do please pop it in the chat. Thanks for that, Joe. And yeah, let's continue.
Oh yeah. So with that, if there's any questions on the on this token specifically, go ahead and ask it. Megan can mention to me, but I want to actually move on to the next token, because this next token, like we said, Sol is probably going to lead this as well too. So we want to make sure that we're trading Sol at the same time, or at least have it charted up if you're trading or not. This is actually going to be a leverage trade for me as well too that I'm already getting into here. And this is sold in the, if you go to the 3-day chart, is it, what was I looking at? 1 week chart. So this is what I was looking at, the 1 week chart.
So we're on Solana now.
Yeah, we're on Solana now, which is going to kind of be leading the S token. So you look at the Solana at the Stash RSI, it's all the way down low. It's leveled out at basically 0. And that there can be the strongest signal when you start getting weekly time frames. It's like, hey, we might be getting into a good demand zone that we want to sit there and keep an eye on, because once that starts picking up and does a bullish crossover, that doesn't happen very often. Those are very, very you don't get those very often in a year's time frame in the market. So these are very, very good times to be getting into the markets, to be sitting there watching it. And also, like, the hardest part is making sure that you're doing the correct management. You just don't get whipped out, or you're not using too tight stop losses, or you're not able to get back into the trade. So just looking at that on this time frame.
So you can explain for a minute what you're referring to as far as this, that doesn't happen often, the bullish cross up. Can you explain a little bit more of that concept?
So this right here, this is the Stash RSI. So once this flattens out in the weekly time frame, you can go on any altcoin that has some good history on it, and you can just sit there and just look at this. And as soon as you look, that's down there flat. It only goes from 0 to like 100. So those are the two numbers it goes to. The max is 100, the bottom's 0. So once you start getting down there, you can't go any lower. The price action can still go a little bit lower, but you're getting close to a bottom in the weekly time frame, or a local lows, I like to call it. And it's
right. And there's a lot of charts with this potential swing on a weekly time frame coming up on the stochastic RSI, right?
Yep. And then you sit there, you can sit there and take 2 lines on it. Let's go ahead and measure this out. So this is where I'm trying to get like my point at right here. So this is 63 days last time this kind of happened. Like, so you get these kind of opportunities like every 63 days. This one here, you got it's 145 days or 154 days. So these opportunities don't come very often. And on a high time frame, these are very powerful signals. I know they're very simple signals, but they're very powerful.
Right.
So this is a token I'm actually getting into right now. You can see this bullish order block. This is technically a bullish break of structure entry on the 1 week time frame. So I don't want to delete my chart just yet, because I haven't got all my buys just yet.
Hey, Rob, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So a minute ago, you made a comment about getting wicked out, and leverage trading is a little bit different than spot trading. For the people that are watching, is this something that we teach people how to do inside the Capital Mindset? How much leverage to trade with, where your risk and rewards are inside of that?
Oh, yes, 100%. So I'll go ahead and I'll explain it on this token right here. So on this token here, this is basically my setup right here. We're getting in it on the 4 hours. At the 4 hour time frame I charted this on. Yes, this is the 4 hour time frame. No, I charted this in the 6 hour time frame. So you see how it always wicks down here, or right in this area. We're wicking up and down on Sol token here. So basically what's happening here is we got a bullish break of structure. We came back down to support here, basically a higher time frame demand zone as well too. Also a demand zone in the 1 week time frame. So a lot of confluence here. What's happening here is market makers are pushing this price down because big buyers are coming in. They're putting their orders in this area, and the exchanges would usually like to make money on these big orders, and they want to get them filled up. And that's their goal right here, is to get all the orders filled so the exchanges make money. And what can happen sometimes is people are sitting there over leveraging, or they are not being able to scale in correctly. And what will happen is the market makers push it down really too hard. It hits stop losses because people sit there and put their stop loss too tight or something like that. And it wicks down all the way down to here. It does a liquidity grab. So that's where you have to be kind of very careful where you place your stop losses and do a scaling kind of buy. So that way, so say like your scaling's like right in this area, right in this zone here. And you can also zoom in on smaller time frames to get in. But if you start placing your big orders down towards the bottom here, and you could expect a long wick underneath here as well too, that's going to be your liquidity grab. You want to basically find an area where your stop loss won't get hit, or if it does get hit and it closes right back in here, you just get right back in. So your biggest orders are stopped out at a very small loss. Then it's like, hey, it closed right back in this order block. You just get right back in, and this is on a 6 hour time frame, so you don't have to sit there and be watching it like, oh, close back in. I'm perfectly fine. I can get right back in and still have the right risk management. You take a small loss, and then you get back in and you get a big win. So that's basically going to happen here. And your risk reward is like 7 to 6.
Right. No, and that's what we're looking for exactly. And I think those tips are so powerful because that's one of the hardest parts of leverage trading is knowing where to put your stops, right? And understanding how to manage that risk. I will say we're getting close to the hour. We want to try to keep this. We got about 30 seconds, but we're trying to keep the show as close to an hour as possible. So maybe we'll have time for this chart and one more chart, and then we'll wrap it up. But just to take a break here, the comments, Jim, we really appreciate you, Joe. Dre, all these guys here, Starlight, everyone in the chat right now. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for saying it's a grounded video. We really are doing our best here. And yes, Nilsson is a very Swedish name. I'm from California, but my husband is Swedish. So yeah, we're very international in this group, guys. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And on that note, Rob, I'll let you then finish this chart, and we'll probably have time for one more chart before we got to wrap it up.
Well, that was basically it. We're getting in this zone right down here. We're watching for liquidity grabs, and we're trying to buy them liquidity grabs up. We're trying to get in that with low leverage, 3 to 7x. And then once we get that confirmed, we use the stop. So what I like to use is that SMA 9 and the whatever time frame I'm trading in as our following stop. So as soon as that SMA 9 goes through a resistance, I move my stops under it. So that way my risk will be managed. And usually after that moving average goes through a resistance, basically it's a good time to start moving your stop losses up into more profit. All right, so my next setup will just go to ADA.
But how much percentage was this trade here? So what are we looking at? Can you just break it down simply and say the levels that you're scaling in at and where you're looking for this trade to go, if you still have it up, just to summarize it?
I am looking to scale in anywhere from $124 down to $120. My stops will be underneath $120, a little bit, probably like 118 to 117. Maybe another small order underneath that for a liquidity grab, just a scale in. So that's giving me a scale in area. Now my take profit levels are going to be this level right here, which is a bearish FEG. That is $135 with 7x leverage. So I like that one there. 131, I'm not taking profits, but that's a good level to sit there. Once we get through it, I'll move my stop loss. Once we break it and retest it, and the SMA 9 goes through it, I'll move my stop losses up after all that happens, because I know after that the liquidity is out of the market of that zone in order to move my stop losses up, because you don't want to put your stop losses where other people are buying. That's a big mistake that people do, is they put their stop losses where other people are buying. Not too smart of an idea. But right. Next level would be anywhere. My final take profit's going to be anywhere from $140 up to $147, which is the 6 hour SMA 200. After that, I'll leave the trade, and then I'll go on the sidelines on it, and I'll set alerts and wait for a new entry into this token. Or I'll be stopped out first in profits, whichever happens first.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
All right, so next, we'll do last setup, which I know everybody's a big fan of, everybody's been talking about, is ADA. I'm going to be leverage trading that as well.
Oh, too. Cardano. You Cardano fans, drop a comment. Let us know you're in here.
ADA. I was just looking at it just about an hour ago on the 1 hour chart, and I'm not trying to predict here, but my strategy lets me to get an idea of what patterns are kind of forming. So you can sit there and see I have a bullish head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders already kind of made up right here. Now, right, what happened here? So we went above this. So this is the neckline that people are probably kind of be looking at. That's going to be kind of diagonal up now as well too. But this is actually a nice change of character. So and that's a bullish chalk. So the change of character by actually that is this bullish order block. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this a little bit.
Can you tell us what a change of character means?
Change of character is actually really simple. It is the first. So after when you have a downtrend coming in, as you can see, our lead right here was a downtrend. And then a change of character is our first higher high out of that downtrend. And then your buy level is your next higher low, which I like to say, I like to buy the higher low. So the change of character is just saying, hey, you're changing trend here. So we got in a 1 hour time frame, we've been in a downtrend. We're finally changing the trend here, and we're looking at a good buy on a higher low, which would make a reversal that makes a pivot there, which I go on a lot into trading on what a pivot is. So you want to pivot in that zone. That's usually confirms your entry. Once you get that pivot in there, using the oscillators, you use a smaller time frame moving average, you take your entry in there, you just can scale in that entry. I'm setting alerts for right now because I might liquidity grab underneath it. I don't feel like just being wicked out of it. Unless I do front run it, I'll put a buy at the very bottom, then my stop underneath the previous week low. But you get that in there, and then you can sit there and just run that up and let that kind of go up in there. And your first take profit's actually going to be the neckline on the breakout, or you get the breakout and a retest, and you wait for a I'll sit there probably by that top point will be above the 4-hour SMA 9. I'll use that as a following stop loss because a higher time frame is a little bit stronger support. So I like jumping up one time frame as a following stop loss because you can kind of fake out in the 1 hour time frame more often. And then once we go up to take profit 2, which is going to be 70 cents, or this could be the next level that you look to move your stop loss up under, is mixed with the 1 hour SMA 9 or SMA 200, which is a very powerful level too. That's actually one of my most powerful levels I look for is the 1 hour SMA 200. We break and retest that one there. It will probably turn into a longer swing trade, and we'll hit all TPs and get above and get all the way up to 77 cents before I leave trade, or I'll move up and choke out my trade. Which what I mean by choking out my trade is I'm going to move my stop losses up really tight to where I know I'll probably get wicked out, but I'm okay with that, just in case I think we might just get some kind of blow off top, and I want to see if I can get it or not. So either way, I'll be okay.
What percentage move is this, and what kind of leverage are you using on this trade?
This is a 16% move I'm looking at, and I'll be losing. I typically, with where my skill levels at now, I almost always use 7x leverage on all my trades now, just because I don't have to think about it. I just have kind of how much capital I like to use, what works out with 7x leverage. It doesn't doesn't make my emotions go crazy if I go upside down for a little bit. Where if you start using higher leverage than that, it makes your emotionally, it's kind of like, well, I'm down 40%, and it makes your emotions go kind of crazy. So I like that, sticking with that 7x leverage or 3x leverage.
A lot of it has to do with how much capital you're using in the trade too, right? So 7x leverage with 20% of your portfolio obviously is dramatically bigger than using 2 to 3%. So essentially, by using the leverage, you can turn little amounts into larger amounts. And your strategy is pretty much based on that, right? You're trying to always make your portfolio grow incrementally. So that 1 to 2% that you're using is always getting bigger and bigger with every successful trade.
100%. And then I'm also using good risk to reward ratios. I wish I had that pull up right now. But basically, if I take two losses, I'm perfectly fine because my next win is going to completely wipe out those losses and give me more capital on the more capital in my portfolio. And then also what happens too over time, after compound gains, you're always, if you're keeping up with that, if you're using 2 to 5% of your capital is raising. Whenever your capital is raising, you're trading with more capital as long as you're paying attention to those percentages. So over time, you're just trading with more capital, and it's also building yourself up to be able to handle those swings in your portfolio up or down because you're slowly building it up and capitalizing on those compound gains.
Yeah, it's more of a gradual climb, right? So you don't feel that hit where it's like you're trading with $1,000 and all of a sudden you jump up to 10,000. And then once you get to those bigger numbers, that fear factor comes into play. You're like, oh, I'm down $200, Normally it'd be $20 and that's not a big deal. So when you get into those bigger numbers, that fear factor kicks in.
Yep. Yeah. And then also too, like I'm very quick on once I get like my confirmation, I go up, I usually move my stop losses to break even. And then also too, I usually move the ones up to like 1 or 2% profit as well too. Sometimes if I get stopped out, I'm able to get back in if I'm able to watch the charts. And once you start getting up to those higher capital levels, like I started noticing that my portfolio was like strangely growing because I started getting stopped out at like 1% profits, and that was like $30 or $40 of capital I was gaining each time I got stopped out. I was like, what's going on? Because I'm trading with a lot more higher capital now. So my stop outs, I'm getting $50 still in profit. I get back in at a better price.
Hey, that's a nice steak dinner.
Yeah, I just noticed that the other day because I was going through my last month trades. I was like, I got stopped out at 1%. I made $50. Okay.
Very cool. Very cool. Now this is how it's done, man. This is how you start to grow. You compound your gains, and it can add up quickly. When you start to get your skill level up, and you're in the group and you're watching all the setups, you don't have to go through them yourself. We've got all of you brilliant analysts looking at them and posting the best setups like this one, like Cardano, which you got a lot of fans of in the group. So I know they all find this really valuable. And as we wrap this up, just going to have a look at a few more comments. Yeah, Jim, you're absolutely right. Bitcoin OS and ADA trustless bridge will be huge, potentially adding the DeFi layer to Bitcoin. So when you pair these charts with powerful news catalysts, they can create these sort of blow off top events sometimes in the perfect market conditions like you were talking about, Rob. So here we have Jim saying trading in and out is too stressful. Yeah, there's also a strategy where you can do longer term swing holds, and that's coming. Those kind of conditions are probably coming. Like Rob was saying, we're seeing a change in character now, and there will be seasons where we can hold longer term swing trades, right?
Yeah, my swing trades normally last about, because I'm a very busy person. I'm a family guy. I have kids. I'm always out and about. I'm getting ready to take kids to baseball practice, so I'm not really in and out. My stop losses do that for me, but my swing trades last 3 to 7 days typically.
Yeah, but you can even do to several weeks to months when the conditions
Oh yeah,
start to
position
right.
trades. Oh yeah, once that starts happening, I'll be trading in 1-day time frames.
Yeah.
And I'll just everything else is noise underneath that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it
Yeah.
okay? We have time for me to share one Bitcoin chart that I think everybody will really like.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up with that because we're already at an hour 10.
Yeah.
So if you can share that quickly, then we'll wrap it up just right after this chart. Let's get some context here as we are closing things up.
1-day Bitcoin chart right here that I just saw that I looked at today that was really interesting to me is this golden Fibonacci ratio. So every time it hits a line, it's usually one lower and it gives you the close to a cycle top. The orange, so this time it's the orange line, which is at $152,000. Now on the bottom here is a Stosh RSI, and I actually paired it up with the 2-week Stosh RSI. And as you can see, those are, and if you remember earlier in the video, I was talking about the Stosh RSI on the weekly time frame for the altcoins. This right here is on Bitcoin, which is very exciting where we're at with that trend line that I put that trend line there that Trip had on his charts. These signals are very, very rare. They happen 355 days apart. So these signals that we're starting to get here, like this starts making this pivot right here, like this right here, you don't get these once, but every 300 days, 200 days between that time frame. So
like once a year, essentially.
Basically, yeah, this is like a once in a year opportunity you basically get, maybe twice a year on this very simple indicator, but very powerful in a 2-week time frame. Because once we're down here, we start making that pivot here. That's like you can sit there and just look and line that up with the chart on the chip on there. You can sit there and just you can line up the local bottoms most of the time, very, very close to it, and it's just very exciting that we're getting this opportunity right now, and it doesn't come often. It doesn't come often. That's all I can say. I'm ending it there.
Once in a year, once in a blue moon. Wow, that's a really great note to end this stream on, just for context of the powerful move that could be coming. And I know a lot of you have had to stick it through some really weird market conditions, and it seems like things are only bleeding down and to the right. And this is just to provide you some context, help you zoom out, tune out the noise, try to stay calm, level-headed, and hone in on your skills. And guys, Rob, thank you so much for sharing with us and jumping on with us today. Steven, Trip, any closing remarks as we come to the end of the stream?
Oh, really? It's just about practice, right? So you want to practice as much as you can. Really, you want to practice learning all these skills in the bear market, so you're preparing yourselves for the bull market. So if you're just joining the group now or about to join the group, it's not too late to join in. You can still learn a lot of information. Really, what we're trying to do is capitalize on the big meat of the move. So you might not nail the absolute bottom, might not nail the absolute top, but I think we have a lot of meat to grab out of this market for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Steven, it's been a pleasure having you on as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And my closing statements would be the most important investment you can make is in your education and your learning. So make sure you get paired up and plugged into the right places where you've got the right people to teach you and guide you into these markets to make money.
Right. Absolutely. And Rob, thank you so much for jumping on. I know you're the leverage extraordinaire in our group, and it's really fun to see how you think and share your ideas with everybody. And guys, thanks everybody for tuning in. Do let us know which charts you want us to cover, and we'll accommodate some of them. Obviously, we're prioritizing the people in the group first, but we do want to help you as much as possible here on YouTube with free content that you can learn and get value from. So we really appreciate you all, and this will be uploaded now. I'll add all the links in the description. And yes, we hope to see you again very soon. We'll be seeing you next Tuesday right here where it's all going to happen. We'll look back at all these charts. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care. See you next time.